Welcome to Podnastics. My name is Jacob Daniel, and along with my friend and co-host Christian Marsh, we interview gymnasts and let them tell their stories. From college-level gymnasts to Olympic stars, we're going to cover it all. This is Podnastics. Yo, what's up, Pod Nation? My name is Jacob Daniel, and I am joined, as always, with my co-host and good friend, Christian Marsh. This is Podnastics, and welcome to a very special side quest episode we like to call... Chalk Show. We like to call it Chalk Show. I froze on it for a second. We like to call it Chalk Show. It's a little bit like a talk show, but we're talking gymnastics. So yeah, it's still kind of podnastics, but we're not interviewing someone. Like I said, it's me, Jacob Daniel, with my good friend Marsh Christian. On today's episode, we are going to be covering Frederick Richardson's new uniform that he just debuted at the 2025 Winter Cup. Real quick, let's give a shout out to Riley Luce, our first guest on Podnastics, who went and won the whole thing this weekend. Riley, I know what you're thinking. Gosh darn it, I'm so glad I went on Podnastics and got the support from Jake and Marsh. I know that's what helped me clutch my win, and I want to say, hey man, you know, don't always meet your heroes, but I'm glad I'm your hero, Riley. Marsh, what'd you think of Winter Cup this weekend?
Oh, that was a fun meet. It was a little weird because new quad or so you're looking for all these athletes who just competed at the Olympics and or were really big at trials. And a lot of them are resting or are recovering from injury. So like Brody Malone wasn't there and Coy Young and Shane Wiskus, just to name a couple, Asher Hong. And so those are people that you tend to look out for while they're competing because they're, phenomenal gymnasts and they weren't there. So while their, gymnastics was noticeably missing, it wasn't any less exciting. I had a lot of fun watching all the new skills people are competing, the new routine composition. So it was a good time.
Yeah, real quick, shout out to all the women who also competed this weekend. You guys did great, but unfortunately the episode's title is Frederick Richardson's new uniform. So we're mostly going to stick to that today and not name drop. Anyway,
it's I gotta correct you. It's Frederick Richard. Yeah, Fred Richard.
Fred Richards, I'm going to go back and re-edit
No,
that.
no S. Yeah, Fred
No,
Richard. So Richard.
Marsh, I'm dyslexic. You gotta talk a whole lot slower for me.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, mister. I know everything about Fred Richards. Fred Richard.
Yeah.
All right, Marsh, tell you what, how about you sum him up for me real quick?
Yeah, Fred was a point of discussion this weekend, to put it succinctly. I mean, he's, outstanding gymnast and one of, if not the front runner for U.S. men's gymnastics all around right now. And also in the world, I mean, he got that bronze world all around medal last quad. And this meet, he sought to not only, compete, win Winter Cup, but do so while unveiling a new uniform. And so the new uniform has caused waves, to put it lightly, in the gymnastics community. There are lots of thoughts and feelings on it.
Yeah, that is one way to put it. Just like Marsh said, Fred is kind of like the front runner for men's gymnastics. I think arguably he was the face of it for the Olympics. If you are more on the gymnastics side, you can probably arguably agree that Fred was a little bit of the main character. I mean, there was still Steven, but I feel like Fred went to trials, said like, I'm going to be an Olympian, went to the Olympics with Brody and Paul and Asher and Steven. And I mean, as a team, they clutched it. They were definitely a team that everyone was like, I don't know how to feel about this selection of young men. And then what was this? Like the first time in 15 years, like
Yeah,
men.
about.
Yeah. Like, so, I mean, just high praise for Fred and all those guys. But going back to the uniform, Fred's been teasing it on his Instagram the past couple days. And one of his posts, he literally says, why are we in tights? Why do we look like this? And he arguably thinks it's time for the uniform to change. He doesn't like the pommel horse pants. He feels like they're goofy. He doesn't like the unitards. I mean, who does like the unitards, honestly? When he was talking about it, I understand what, any male former gymnast or even female are going to be like, yeah, the unitards, leotards are not comfortable, but there is a reason for why they look the way they are. So just going off of how that uniform looked, what were your initial responses?
My initial thought was that it was baggier than I would have guessed. There's a reason the singlet and the spandex is tighter to your body. It doesn't catch, and one of the most important parts as well for, judging in order to see body line. It clings close to your body. So with baggier clothing, like hip angle or like knee angle deductions can be obscured by your clothing, potentially. I mean, that's why there's like a limit on the color pants you can wear at major competitions in men's gymnastics because they don't even want knee bends to be hidden in, your spandex pants, because of dark colors and shadows. So I was surprised at how baggy it was, although it was tucked in, and it didn't seem to come out as far as I could tell. So I was a little surprised by that. I was like, okay, clearly he's got some superior tucking method going on in there. Um, and then I was like, oh, this looks pretty similar to a basketball uniform. It looked like it could have been like a Michigan basketball jersey type gig, and I would not have been super surprised had I, walked some past an actual basketball player wearing that.
I see what you're saying. When it comes to my opinions, I'm just gonna be honest. I thought when it came to the look of it, it did look very appealing. I saw that uniform and I literally thought to myself, I would have loved to at least try doing gymnastics in that uniform, like a uniform like that, or like even compete one meet in it. It was very tempting, but going back to what you're saying, it just looked very loose. People were saying basketball attire. Being a former cross country and track runner, it reminded me a lot of our like track uniforms, which are a little baggy and you have a little shorter shorts. And did you notice like his shorts must have been some kind of compression because it's not like when he went upside down did they ever dip. Like they were on his like legs, like they never dipped down or anything. Him debuting his uniform has been met with some pretty big backlash. Some people see it as like disgraceful. Some people are calling it blasphemous. I don't know about all that personally. I understand where he's coming from. He wants to kind of redefine how the gymnastics uniform should look. He quoted that, when Michael Jordan started wearing his shoes, he was getting fined every game, but now it's the new norm. He's like, well, what if this is the new norm and maybe I'm the guy to do it? I, and first off, I want to say, to Fred, like, hey, man, chase your dreams. Like, if this is something you're passionate about, you should keep continuing it. I think the initial response on this first uniform is that it still looked very baggy, compared to the other gymnasts competing. I am a big fan of pommel horse pants. I've always liked pommel horse
Me
pants.
too, me too.
The leggings under the shorts confuse me because so does he must have to go put those on and then throw the shorts back over them. I I don't know. I know the uniform is from Turn. It was a very clean looking uniform. That is I like the look and I'm sure it has a really nice feel to it. However, it's probably a little harder to push that on people who, once again, there's a reason why we have the uniforms that we have. They're supposed to be tight. They're supposed to be exactly like you are saying, not multi-colorful, so we can grade the skills the way they are. But I mean, going even farther back, I still can't believe that people are like, I mean, death threats for the guy. Like people on Twitter were like coming for his life. One person was like, "Oh my gosh, he was so annoying and he didn't even do good this weekend. He got second. He got second this weekend. That's not
With
doing
several
bad.
falls.
That's not doing bad at all." I don't know. I'm gonna throw it back over the Marsh, but that's my little rant is that while I don't necessarily think the uniform is the uniform I don't think in the moment is the right one, and maybe it can be tweaked and worked around. I don't think we should discredit the fact that Fred is actually like he's an extremely good gymnast.
Yeah, so I've been uncomfortable with some of the discourse surrounding his attempt to change the uniform. Largely, I don't like the way people are speaking about him. It is largely due to the message, like the caption and the Instagram post in which he, began to unveil this new uniform, and how it could have been interpreted as some people found misogynistic. And so I understand those frustrations, but I personally would not go so far as to find him malicious in that way. And so consequently, like the reactions we've been getting are I have felt are disproportionate. And it's just something that I feel I've seen before when, a confident black athlete does something non-traditional, and they are met with backlash, whether warranted or not. I just feel like we're getting pretty close to shut up and dribble type of reaction that I am not loving. So while I think his word choice and his caption can and should be critiqued, and if you think it looks ugly, that's also all the power to you. That's like a valid thing to critique, right? Because he's creating a new uniform. But so far as these personal attacks saying he's bad and or wishing poor things upon him because of it, I think that's a bit further than I think is appropriate, and just rubs me a tad the wrong way.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. Wrapping around the final thoughts, I personally think the uniform looked clean. I like the idea of it. However, I am currently going to stick to the mindset that we had those uniforms for a reason. I know they're old, and you know what? He says it. He's like, we've had pommel horse pants for 100 years. And counterpoint, it's because pommel horse pants work. What if you have loose clothing and you're doing circles, man, and you catch your thumb, you're gonna wipe out. And I'm not saying that about his uniform that he debuted. That seemed like it stuck very well to his body, a little loose, maybe on the sides. However, that is just my final opinion, is that I really think we have the uniforms we have right now for a reason. However, Fred, if you want to like keep trying to tweak your design and keep pushing it, go for it, man. I'd be excited to see the different versions of this.
Yeah, I can see something like that working for younger athletes, whose gymnastics is not quite as difficult or dangerous yet. So that, a baggier outfit is, if they feel more comfortable in it, all the power to them. I mean, I say that like it's a hypothetical, but there are in fact in the U.S. Junior developmental program, there are like lighter uniform requirements for the younger levels, and that is to encourage retention in men's gymnastics and encourage comfortability. So that's not an abstract concept. That is something that we actually actively do currently. So if it were to be something like you wore like the A version or the Fred uniform up until a certain level where you know, then have to graduate to a tank and pants. I could also see that being kind of cool. And it also shifts the discourse there a little bit so that now you've earned the right to upgrade into your spandex superhero suit type deal.
Hmm.
So I could see something like that working as well, but it's like not crazy to suggest that some people are uncomfortable in their uniforms because some kids are. I've never minded my tank too much. I think I was indifferent for a long time. I'm also biased in that I had to practice in full uniform, shorts, pants, tank, every single day in club. And when I got to college, the tanks got more comfortable. The design and the brand that I used at William and Mary was different from what I had done in club. And so I appreciated that. And also once I had more muscles, I felt like I just looked real good in the tank. I was like, awesome. I've been working out 20 hours a week for the past 15 years and people get to check out the muscles now. But I understand not everybody feels that way about their body, or even if they do, they don't want it to be displayed as much. So I don't mind an alternative option so long as functionality and comfortability are still prioritized. So that doesn't
I,
sound too
I
crazy.
liked what you said, like earn your super suit. Oh, Christian, it's time for level 6. It's time for the Spider-Man tights.
One of my teammates in club, his mom was a seamstress, so she actually handmade us custom tanks when we were in club. And so Spider-Man and Hulk, I believe I had a teammate with a Riddler tank. Yeah, no, it was sick. We loved it. I
The
mean, you were the
the
you were the
riddle
coolest
was
kid at
if you
practice on Spider-Man Day.
The riddle was if he was going to be good that day or not.
No facts, bro.
All right. Well, man, that's all I got for our quick chalk show today. Do you have anything else, or is that it from you?
I'll wear whatever as long as it's cool and yeah, as long as it looks good, feels good, and is safe. So I don't mind the envelope being pushed. I just think we need to be cognizant about the way we present it, how we present it, and of course, making sure that the end design is something that actually does. It is
Mm.
something innovative.
Okay, so actually, one more question. Do you think that Fred can keep his uniform comfortable and refine it a little bit more?
I do. I think at a certain point you start like reinventing the wheel a little bit, just in that the more tight you make it, but also remaining that like having that flexibility to it, you're getting closer to like just a tank again. Um, but they make sleeveless compression tanks that you can then tuck into, 5 inch inseam shorts with no pockets, right? If
Hmm.
that's what you prefer to wear and feel more comfortable in. And as long as the shorts aren't too baggy, to hide your hip line and or your knee line, then I don't think I have much of a problem with it. But I would still prefer to retain the option to wear tank and pants myself.
I like that. We're going to end the show on that. With that, my name is Jacob Daniel,
And I'm Christian Marsh.
and thank you for coming to our first Podnastics Chalk Show. Good night, Denver, Colorado.